This is a quick hip mobility drill that you can throw in before or after your karate training or even on your off days. And the emphasis here is going to be on the hip flexors, the quadriceps, and you'll probably also feel this in the external rotators of the hip. So I'm going to walk you through the individual positions and movements first, and then we'll start flowing it together. So the first one we're going to do is going to start in a high lunge position. So think Zenkuzudachi or front stance with the back heel elevated, so we're on the ball of that back foot. We're tucking the hips under, and so you should already feel a big stretch in the hip flexors of that back leg. In this case, it's my left leg. So we're gonna maintain that position, and then we're gonna do the lowering portion of a lunge. So we've got this big stretch position on the hip. As that back knee bends, you'll feel that stretch work all the way down into the front of that back quad. So big stretch here, and if you can't drop that back knee all the way to the mat because you've got a knee issue, you can always place like a pad or something underneath the knee. So once we're here, we're still keeping that hip tucked for just a second. You can flatten out the top of the back foot. And then from here, we're gonna walk into a low lunge or lizard lunge position. So you wanna take your front foot, move it forward a little bit. Hands are gonna drop down to the inside of that front foot. And as we're doing that, we're gonna allow the elbow to just push that knee out to the side if you've got the mobility to do so, if you don't have any hip conditions. If not, just butting the knee up to the shoulder is fine as well. So we'll hold that position, maybe lift the chest slightly as you sink through the hips. And then we're gonna take this into a external internal rotator stretch. So if you're familiar with the 90-90 stretch, that's this position. We're actually doing a step down from that. So you're gonna bend the knees slightly more like deer pose, where the knees are more like 35, 45 degrees. And your hands are gonna go around your front knee. We'll drop the belly button down toward the inside of your front thigh and maybe hold it for a couple of breaths. And that's basically it. Those are the three positions, but we're gonna do it again on the other side and do it in the opposite order. So let's try flowing through it together. So we'll start from the top. And for the sake of simplicity, you're welcome to mirror me, or if you are good with right and left, that works too. So I'm gonna tell you which leg I'm using. So right leg in the front, left leg in the back. We're tucking the hips under, keep that tension, maybe hold for a breath. And then nice and slow, drop the back knee down as low as you can go. Nice and slow, legs on the floor, keep the tension in the hips. We've flattened out the top of that back foot, extra breath. And then we're taking it into a low lunge. So you can release the tension on the glutes, walk the front foot forward, hands are down on the inside of the foot, sink the hips, lift the chest. We're butting the knee up to the outside of the shoulder. Take a breath here. We'll go from here into our deer pose, so you can pull back, walk the front foot across. In this case, it's my right foot. Bend both of the knees, hands around the front knee, drop the chest down, 2 breaths. And then we're gonna repeat that on the other side, but in the opposite order. So let's flip the knees over and start with deer pose. So hands around the front knee, drop the belly button down, two breaths. And then we're gonna move from here up into our low lunge. So push up, you have to come up onto that back knee. Left foot's in front for me, both hands down, sink through the hips, lift through the chest, pushing the front knee out just slightly if you can. And then from here, we're gonna go into our half kneeling position, or it's like a shortened lunge. So front foot, back foot is down, pull the front foot in, tuck the hips under, take a breath here. And then we're gonna push up to our high lunge position out of this shape. So curl the toes under, push up, keep the tension, and then we're gonna repeat it the opposite direction. So big breath in, and then we're gonna lower down. Hold that for a breath, flatten out the back foot. Should have done that earlier. And then down into our low lunge, sink the hips, push the knee out. From here, going into deer pose, walk the foot across, bend both knees, sink the chest, 2 breaths. So we're just repeating it the other direction. Flip the knees over. On the other side, 2 breaths. Pushing up, back into our low lunge. My left foot's in the front, sink the hips, lift the chest. Maybe 1 breath here. Pull it back into half kneeling. Curl the hips under, take a breath. Curl the toes under, keep the tension on the hips, come up to the start. And you can repeat that for as many rounds as you'd like, but just an easy flow drill, just 3 or 4 positions. If you try it out, drop down in the comments and let me know what you think.